Now we're back with writing our description for our first gig. So as mentioned in the previous lesson, the description is one of the most important parts of your gigs because it's basically going to convince the client to stay on your gig and purchase your packages. So what you're going to start with in your descriptions, let's go to this person, is tell them a bit about you, but only about the stuff that they would care about. So they want to make sure you are a graphic designer and you are qualified and what you promise to the client. Then you can tell them a bit about your process and why it's better than the other people. So this person has a questionnaire where they will take these stuff in order to make the process easier. And they're just telling the client a bit about the packages more in depth than what you can see here. Okay, so let's go back in here. This person, let's view what they have. Okay, so they didn't introduce themselves, but again, very straight up with what the client will get and a call to action for if they have questions. By the way, if you were wondering, clients can easily message you like this. So I'm in the client view right now. Okay, let's go here and start writing. So let's do, my name is Olivia and I've been a logo designer for more than 10 years. My expertise is in finance startups, and I'm here to make your logo perfectly represent your business. Then we can do a little comparison. So why me? And do some bullet points. So say 10 years of experience, designed more or like 100+ logos, work with 20 startups. You can add plus just to make it more interesting. Effective communicator, then familiar with the industry. And then we can do another set of bullet points for what you will get. So let's put in, actually depending on the package you choose, we can write different file formats, clean and modern logos, source file, 3D mockups, control over details, and that is it. Now we can go ahead, let me just format this better. Now we can go ahead and tell them conclude what we just said and then finally have a call to action. So let's go with my expertise and experience. Your business can thrive with the right brand identity. I will help turn your ideas into reality using the top-notch techniques to deliver high-quality results. Contact me now for more information. Give your business a chance to shine. Let's go with startup here. All right, so this is a general overview that you can follow. Of course, if there's anything else, you can add it in there. But overall, try to keep everything nice and clean. Bullet points are very helpful. You don't want to have like a bunch of paragraphs that are condensed with text because chances are people are not going to read them. So nice and clean like this. And we could actually use the bold or italics to format the thing better. So let's add the bold the stuff that really matters. So 10 years of experience. And then here, 100 plus, 10 years of experience, 20 plus startups. And then some key points that they want to consider. I'll turn that into italic. Let's see, top-notch technologies. And then I'm just going to make this bold. That's my call to action. And now my description is complete. Let's turn these into italics. We do have a highlight option as well. So that's what it looks like. You can use that. But I like keeping things a bit clean. I wouldn't suggest using all three because then it's going to be too much for them to look at and it might not be that easy on the eyes. So recently they have the milestone workflow. This is for gigs that are rather expensive, so $100 or more. We don't fit into that category, but essentially it ensures that you get paid throughout this longer process. So say if we had something like this person, let me see if they have milestones. Okay, they don't have milestones, but they are charging $244. So they want to make sure that you stick around till the end to get everything that you need and of course for this person to get paid. So with milestones, what they're going to do is say after they give you the logo concept that takes like a day or something, they're going to ask you to approve it and then pay them say $40 from this entire amount. Then once they give you the 3D mockups, they're going to ask for another 100 and they go on this way to get the finalized money in small increments. This is kind of like an insurance thing and it guarantees that your client doesn't just cancel and go away. Of course, when they do cancel, there is like a cancellation fee, I believe, but a lot of sellers like to use the milestones to make sure they get the full amount. Okay, now just to show you what this looks like, I'm going to go back and turn my premium into 150. This way I can show you what that looks like, especially if you're going to do like programming and all of that. Now it needs the basic package. If you're going to do some sort of programming, you want to make sure that you are getting paid for all the time that you're putting in. There we go. So my basic is $500. It just has to be above 100. There is templates. So that includes the first milestone is onboarding. Make sure we've aligned for the project. And if you want to make up a project brief document that you want to share with the client before you actually start coding in a sense, you can put that in there. I will say for the basic package. Then there's the research and preparations. Can you put in your price, design, and all of that. You could delete any of these if it's too many. You can add a fifth milestone. Just anything that can guarantee that you're making sure that you and the client are on the same page. So definitely use milestones if you're offering a service that just takes a lot of time, and it would suck if they canceled mid-project. Okay, let's go back here. I believe that was 25. Save and continue. We don't need milestones anymore. Then we have this section for frequently asked questions. This is a great way to let your clients know exactly how you conduct your business, what they need to know before even contacting you, what you're going to need from them, and etc. So here it is an example. Can you provide a British accent? Of course, I've lived in England for 3 years and that sort of thing. So in regards to my business, we can do, let's say, can you accept reference photos when designing? I'm going to think that someone may have this question in their mind, and then I'm going to answer it. So that's my first question. Second question, can you copy a logo that I like very much? All right, so anything of that sort. Let's continue to the next section. So now requirements, you can list the things that you're definitely going to need from the client before starting. It's not a good idea to rely on them, answering you on time, responding to emails. So before they even get your package, you want to make sure that you've taken every information you need for your project. Okay, so these are mandatory. So if you're ordering for a business, what's your industry? There's multiple choice, part of a bigger project you're working on, and then you can add your own questions. So let's go with, what is the name of your business? This will be on your logo. And then you can put it as free text. That's a required thing. You can make this unrequired when you're asking questions that you could do with or without their answer. So let's say, what kind of colors do you want in your designs? Not required. I can still continue making my designs if they don't tell me this. Okay, continue. And now here is your gig image. This is another important thing because it's essentially the first thing they will see on your gig. So you can add up to 3 images, and then there's videos which actually work better than photos because they get to listen to your voice, they get to see you. You can put in some of the works that you've done and just kind of convince them in 75 seconds. Then we have documents. So if you're maybe a writer, you work in law, that's where you would upload these. So with logos, we would want to use the image part, but we could also take it up a notch and use the video, which on the right, you can see that it increases user engagement by 40%. So that is up to you. So you can use any platform to either put in the logos you've done before, maybe the mock-ups, but a lot of people, what they'll do, so here they have the mock-ups, they will put in like the actual logo file. Let me go on this, guys. You can do a collection of your logos, the different ways, or mock-ups. Some people put their own photo just to show their personal identity. And it's really up to you which one you want to do. Now I'm just going to add in some logos and then we can move on to the final step. So the first one is going to be your primary image, which is what's going to show up first. And we can add tags to this to make it easier to identify for your client. So logo type, these are the 2 that we chose. And you can add in some tags about your service. So let's do pastel, picture, stuff like that. It's not really a word mark, but I'm just going to put it on there. So repeat that with the other ones, and then you're good to go. All right, now we can save and continue and fill in some questions. So if you work in the US, you do have to have this guy. So confirm whether or not you're doing that. I'm just going to say no, just to save time here. But if you do work in the United States, definitely choose yes and grab the Form W-9 for tax purposes. All right, we have to add in a phone number. And then once we're done, our gig will be reviewed and then published on our profile. So that's how you fill up your gigs. There is no limit as to how many gigs you can have. But for starters, I would say keep it at around 1 to 3. Once those guys do well, you can do variations of that successful gig and build up your business from there. I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. I'll see you guys in the next one.